We're jumping right into a really important public health announcement coming out of Kent County, Michigan. Seriously, if you live in Wyoming or Granville, you're going to want to pay close attention because the safety of your tap water might have just been called into question. It's a question we should all be able to take for granted. We turn on the faucet, fill up a glass, and just trust that what's coming out is clean, that it's safe for our families. But for some residents, the answer to that simple question just got a whole lot more complicated. State environmental officials have just raised a new red flag, and it's creating a whole new level of concern for people living there. So here's what's going on. Michigan's Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, you'll hear them called EGLE, they've issued a brand new designation. And honestly, it's something that demands our attention. Okay, so let's get specific. This new area of interest for what's known as PFAS contamination is centered right around the Chicago Drive and Lee Street area. This means it's directly impacting people in parts of Wyoming and Granville. Now, this didn't just pop up out of nowhere. This whole investigation actually got started back in 2023. That's when testing first found some elevated PFAS levels over at Badges Park. Then, follow-up tests this year confirmed the problem in other nearby bodies of water, which is what led to this much wider advisory. And that has resulted in a very, very serious warning. There's now a do not eat fish advisory for 6 local spots. That's Hopewell Indian Mounds Park Pond, Badges Park Pond, Spellman Lake, Porter Lake, Lamar Park Pond, and Lewis Lake. The message from officials is as simple as it gets. If you fish in any of those 6 places, do not eat what you catch.
So this all leads us to the chemical at the center of all this, PFAS. To really get a handle on the risk here, we have to understand what these so-called forever chemicals actually are.
Right? So PFAS is just the short name for a mouthful, per and polyfluoroalkyl substances. The easiest way to think about them is as this huge family of man-made chemicals. And their superpower, which is also the source of the entire problem, is that they are unbelievably good at not breaking down. That's exactly why they got that nickname, forever chemicals. Once they get into the environment or into us, they just stick around for a very, very long time. And you might be kind of shocked to hear where these things come from. I mean, they're in stuff we use every day, like nonstick pans and stain-repellent couches. They're also in industrial things like firefighting foam. And the health risks that are linked to being exposed to them, they're no joke. We're talking about things like higher cholesterol, problems with your thyroid, a weaker immune system, and even a higher risk for certain types of cancer. And this right here is probably the most critical piece of the puzzle. This isn't about getting one huge dose of the stuff. The science is pretty clear on this. Even really low but consistent exposure to these chemicals is linked to some major health risks. Okay. So that's the problem. And I get it, it sounds pretty concerning. But the good news here is that you're not powerless. Let's talk about what you can actually do to protect yourself and your family. It really comes down to a pretty simple 3-step plan. First things first, you gotta find out what you're dealing with. Get your water tested. Step 2, pick a filtration method that's right for your home. And third, and this is important, make sure you keep up with the maintenance on that system so it keeps working the way it's supposed to. When you start looking at filtration, you've basically got 2 main choices. There are point-of-use systems, which you install on a single faucet, like your kitchen sink. They're awesome for making sure the water you drink and cook with is clean, and they usually cost less upfront. Then you've got whole home systems. These treat every single drop of water coming into your house. That means you get much more complete protection. We're talking showers, baths, even your laundry. But, and this is a big but, not just any filter will get the job done. When it comes to tackling PFAS, you need to look for certified technologies that are proven to work. We're talking about things like activated carbon filters, reverse osmosis systems, and ion exchange systems. Make sure whatever you're looking at uses one of those methods. So let's tie all of this together. With this new alert out there for Kent County, what does it all really mean for you? What's the path forward? Look, if you live in or anywhere near that designated area of interest in Wyoming and Granville, the message could not be more clear. The absolute most important first step you can take is to get your water professionally tested for PFAS. That's the only way you'll know for sure what your specific risk is. Knowledge is power here. At the end of the day, it's all about being proactive, taking that step to test your water, and then maybe install a certified filter. that's not just about safety, it's about peace of mind. It is, without a doubt, the most effective way to cut down on your family's exposure to these forever chemicals.
So we'll end with this. The science, the official warnings, they all make one thing obvious. These forever chemicals aren't some distant problem. They're right here in our own backyards. So the only real question left is, now that you know this, what are you going to do about it?